Each vessel carries with it a unique tale of glory, tragedy, or enigma, now left to drift aimlessly or silently resting in forgotten waters. From majestic ocean liners to legendary warships and humble fishing vessels, these abandoned relics stand as poignant reminders of humanity's enduring relationship with the sea. Join me as we unravel the mysteries and marvel at the haunting beauty of these 10 remarkable abandoned ships, each with a captivating narrative waiting to be discovered. Shipwreck Beach on Lanai, also known as Kaiolohia, is known for its shallow reef and strong currents. It has wrecked many ships in the past, hence its name. The Aldermanwood, a British vessel, got into trouble and sank here in 1824, which is the first documented shipwreck. 2 years later, the London, an American ship, met its fate. The London was believed to have gold and silver on board, and it is uncertain how much of it was ever recovered. The shipwreck after which this beach is named, that can still be seen today, is popularly referred to as a World War II Liberty ship. However, it is a ferro-cement, reinforced concrete, gasoline barge built for the Navy in 1943. Instead of a name, these type of ships were just given a number designation. This particular ship was Yogian 42. It was purposely grounded. After the war ended, this was the most economical way to dispose of the vessel. The Leeward Antilles, a captivating archipelago nestled in the southern Caribbean Sea, beckons with its pristine beaches, vibrant culture, and rich history. Comprising islands such as Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao, this region boasts a unique charm and allure. Among its many treasures is the intriguing presence of abandoned ships, each with its own story to tell. SS Antilla. The SS Antilla is one of the most famous shipwrecks in the Caribbean. This German cargo ship was scuttled during World War II by its crew to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. Today, it rests off the coast of Aruba and serves as one of the largest and most accessible wreck dive sites in the Caribbean. SS Pedernales. The SS Pedernales, an American oil tanker, met its fate during World War II when it was torpedoed by a German U-boat off the coast of Aruba in 1942. The wreck lies in shallow waters and is a popular diving destination. The thousands of wrecks dotted around Ireland's coast and inland waterways reflect that diversity. The Creetboom was a 267-ton steam-powered tugboat from ferroconcrete, a concrete reinforced with steel bars. The 38-m-long vessel was completed in July 1920. The Admiralty had originally planned to use its fleet of ferroconcrete tugs and barges to transport iron ore from Spain to England, but once the war ended, that ore was no longer needed. In 1937, the vessel was sold to the Ballina Harbor Commissioners as a derelict vessel. The commissioners planned to sink it to form a groin, to keep the navigation channel clear at the mouth of the river. However, as the Creetboom was being towed into position, it collided with another vessel and was damaged below the waterline. Efforts to keep it afloat failed, and the concrete tug drifted and sank mid-channel, where it stayed for 30 years. Originally called the Bois Discoverer, the MS World Discoverer was a cruise ship built in 1974 by Shinshaw Unterweser, Germany. Besides how its journey ended, the MS World Discoverer is famous for its shore expeditions. It cruised to territories that not many vessels could reach. It could carry a small fleet of dinghies that helped tourists safely land on various shorelines to observe and explore local wildlife. The vessel also had historians, naturalists, marine biologists, and geologists who answered the passengers' questions. Some of its amenities included a medical center with an active physician, an observation lounge, sun deck, a library, and a small gym. While cruising through the Sandfly Passage in the Solomon Islands on the evening of April 30th, 2000, the MS World Discoverer hit a reef or a large rock. It's unclear what caused the accident and started listing. Luckily, Captain Oliver Crewis could send a distress call, which the attendants in Honiara received and reacted to. A passenger ferry was sent their way, and all the people on board were successfully rescued. It seems you can find everything in Russia. For example, this unusual ship made of concrete found its last haven in the lower reaches of the Volga, Astrakhan region, a few kilometers from the Caspian Sea. The hull of the ship is made of reinforced concrete. Those parts of the hull where concrete couldn't be used were made of iron. This ship is not unique. In a number of countries, different concrete ships were designed and built during periods of acute shortage of metal. Indeed, concrete is a very practical material for shipbuilding. Firstly, it is much cheaper than metal, and secondly, it is easy to repair the damage. It looks like that this ship is not a bulk carrier, but rather a small tanker. At the same time, the deck can also be used to transport such goods as wood. In general, its true function remains a mystery. This 45-foot submarine was built in 1967 by Jerry Bianco, a shipyard worker in Brooklyn, New York City. Bianco constructed the submarine using salvaged metal. His goal was to either raise or salvage valuables from the wreck of the Italian passenger liner SS Andrea Doria, which sank off Nantucket Sound in 1956 after being hit broadside by another liner one. After 3 years of part-time construction efforts, Bianco prepared to launch the submarine. Unfortunately, during the lowering process with a crane, the vessel tipped sideways and became stuck in the mud. Despite Bianco's efforts to recover it, he couldn't raise sufficient funds for the project. Some sources claim that the vessel was eventually unstuck and sailed up and down the bay before sinking at its mooring one. As of 2016, the Questor Eye is either largely or partly visible, depending on the tide, above the waters of Coney Island Creek. Originally painted bright yellow at launch, it now bears a sheen of orange rust. Located just north of the Tangalooma Island Resort are the Tangalooma Wrecks, a cluster of ships scuttled by the Queensland government between 1963 and 1984 to provide safe anchorage spot for recreational boat owners on the eastern side of Moreton Bay. Coral is now starting to form in and around the wrecks, providing a haven for over 100 species of fish, and sometimes even dolphins, wobbegongs, and dugongs. A total of 15 vessels were sunk, 5 in 1963, 5 in the 1970s, and a further 5 in the 1980s. The sunken shipwrecks on Moreton Island are just a 15 to 20-minute walk up the beach from Tangalooma Island Resort. It's not hard to find the wrecks as they cast an iconic silhouette, with the best photos taken at low tide and sunset. The USS Arizona Memorial, at Pearl Harbor in Honolulu, Hawaii, marks the resting place of 1,102 of the 1,177 sailors and Marines killed on USS Arizona during the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, and commemorates the events of that day. The attack on Pearl Harbor led to the United States' involvement in World War II. The memorial, built in 1962, is visited by more than 2 million people annually. Accessible only by boat, it straddles the sunken hull of the battleship without touching it. Historical information about the attack, shuttle boats to and from the memorial, and general visitor services are available at the associated USS Arizona Memorial Visitor Center, which opened in 1980 and is operated by the National Park Service. The battleship's sunken remains were declared a National Historic Landmark on May 5, 1989. On May 6, 2018, boat transportation to the memorial was suspended after one of the vessel operators noticed a crack on its outside. For over 40 years, a magnificent 1950s cruise ship has been docked on the banks of a Welsh estuary. The Duke of Lancaster began its life as a passenger ferry and cruise liner in 1956, with its passengers treated to silver service as they traveled the seas from Ireland, Scotland, and Europe. During the 1950s and 1960s, its first-class quarters were branded the best around, according to a website dedicated to the ship. However, when the huge ship took its final trip in 1978, it was sold to a Liverpool-based company who wanted to reuse it as a dry dock attraction. In the years since then, it has stood empty, frozen in time. It is still the same inside. The bar, the restaurant, the cafeterias, everything exactly as it was. But now, decades later, it is preparing for a new lease of life with grand plans to restore it to its former glory. USS Inaugural was an Admirable-class fleet minesweeper. The Admirable class was the largest and one of the most successful classes of U.S. minesweepers ordered during World War II. Inaugural was launched on October 1, 1944, and commissioned less than 3 months later. After seeing combat in the Pacific Theater, she was decommissioned in 1946 and spent 2 decades in mothballs. In 1968, she was set up as a museum ship in St. Louis, Missouri. In the Great Flood of 1993, Inaugural was ripped from her mooring, ran aground, and rolled on her side a mile downstream. As of December 2017, the hulk was still sitting on the Missouri side of the river. In the fall 2021, a historic low level of the Mississippi River allowed the hulk to become visible. Thank you for joining us on this underwater adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating explorations.